All right, that was a fun rivalry week of college football, and a theme emerged to me that I wanted to break out. This was the week of interceptions. As we know, interceptions are bad. It's either a bad throw, a bad decision, bad luck, or some combination of the three. So let's go through, I would say a few, but it's more than I wanted there to be. Let's go through some of the most impactful and unlucky and downright head scratching interceptions of the week. We start in the MAC with Parker Navarro of the Ohio Bobcats facing off in front of absolutely no one in Buffalo, New York on Tuesday, giving us what probably held on to the title of worst interception of the week.
Put Williams in motion. They move the pocket that way for Navarro. He will shovel it off, and it's intercepted. Navarro.
Okay, so where was this bad? Besides everywhere. It was a bad throw, but way more so, it was an awful, awful decision. It's 3rd and 2. Just throw it away, man. Do anything besides what you did. So, bad throw, yes, but also bad decision. No luck involved. It was Friday night. Marcel Reed and the undefeated Texas A&M Aggies in Austin. They were getting beat, but Marcel Reed took it upon himself to put the nails in their own coffin.
Built like his legendary dad. Stayed in to help block Reed. Intercepted!
So he had pressure right in his face. I'll give him that, but this was still a bad decision and a bad throw. But then the defense does their job. They get a 3-and-out, they force a punt, and Marcel, once again, says, no. We're going to make this as convincing as possible for Texas.
Has not thrown a touchdown pass tonight. And he throws that up for grabs, and that one's intercepted.
So this is obviously a bad decision more than anything, but I wonder if the A&M inside slot receiver, the guy who comes in motion across the formation, was supposed to run a flat. Because if he runs a flat out to the sideline, the corner who ends up making the interception, will likely stay down with him, and maybe the intended receiver would be open. So regardless, bad decision. Over in Michigan, where Ohio State was playing the game with all the pressure in the world on their shoulders, down 3 early in the first, Julian Sayin gives Buckeye Nation another reason to be nervous.
A lower body injury. Out for the last 2. 2nd and 10 at the 25. Sayin again near side. Intercepted!
All right, so it's their first drive. They're down 3, and young Julian Sayin just makes the wrong read, does not see this corner drifting underneath Jeremiah Smith. So it's a bad decision because it's the wrong read. Throw was fine, and obviously no luck involved, and Buckeye Nation could not have been feeling good right now. All right, next we go to Georgia with clean old-fashioned hate. Georgia playing Georgia Tech. And look, if you're Georgia here, you want to crush Georgia Tech's confidence immediately. I would say they didn't quite do that with this pick by Gunnar Stockton.
3rd and 13 as they drop 8 into coverage.
And it is intercepted! Georgia Tech with the first turnover.
So this is pretty cut and dry. Definitely a bad decision. I'm also going to say bad throw. This is low and inside. Had he put it a little bit to the outside, maybe it doesn't get picked. All right, and then Haynes King in a different situation, on the other side, down 10, early in the second half, tries to force the ball downfield.
As well, it's going to bode well in their favor.
King. Downfield strike.
Wow, what an effort by Ellis!
All right, so he's trying to make a play. I don't think this is a bad decision. Not bad luck, just a bad throw. Just high and behind, and a great play by the Georgia defensive back. And in the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State fought hard, but this was a tough one to swallow for Kamario Taylor of Mississippi State.
9-yard gain.
He's already got 77 rushing yards on the day. Taylor throwing, it's tipped, and it is picked off. It was deflected by the tailback.
Oh, look, was this a bad throw? Not really. Was it a bad decision? Arguably. But when we're talking about why this was an interception, this was just plain old bad luck. 2 deflections into a defender's hands is no fun. And look, I think that was when I and maybe everybody realized it was just not going to be the Bulldogs' day. And out in Kansas on the Jayhawks senior day, Jalen Daniels had a day he would probably like to forget. He only had thrown 4 picks all season coming in, and then he goes and does this.
Threatening here on their first drive. Pressure coming. That's intercepted. Picked off by Snowden. And he gets turf monster.
Bad decision, bad throw.
Change in a heartbeat. That changes the math. 2 tight ends in the game. Daniels chased by Dillon. Toward the end zone. Ill-advised. Oh, wow. And it's picked off.
Okay, good decision to throw it away. Ooh, terrible, awful, the worst throw of the day.
I think he read the wrong one there, for sure. LeSean Williams in the game. Daniels, quick throw, picked off. Pickett wasn't looking.
And finally, going in for the go-ahead score in the middle of the 4th quarter. This is a bad decision and a bad throw. That corner was sitting outside of the flat route and had no chance. And of course, they take it all the way to the house. In the Palmetto Bowl, Clemson playing South Carolina. Cade Klubnik gets us started off.
By the Gamecocks.
Third year as the offensive coordinator at Clemson. 2nd and 10. Klubnik tries the other side, and it's intercepted. Underthrown and Kilgore.
You know, I don't mind this decision at all. This was just underthrown and therefore a bad throw. And then on the other side for South Carolina, Lenore Sellers is a great athlete, but he contributed to the week of interceptions in a big way.
PBU, 2.5 tackles for loss today for the Purdue transfer. 3rd and 10 for Lenoris, and he's taking a shot to the end zone, and it is intercepted. Ricardo Jones.
All right, so it's a bad read and therefore a bad decision. And on top of that, it's a bad throw. The receiver couldn't even get there. All right, but then Sellers has an opportunity. He's got 95 yards in front of him, only down 6, plenty of time, all 3 timeouts.
Ask your offense to do more than it's done all afternoon.
Is in zone, up top, deflected, intercepted. There's Jones again, pick 6.
And you know what? He actually makes the right decision here. But that is a bad throw and bad luck. So the guy who probably had the roughest day in a win is John Mateer of Oklahoma. He gave us 3 picks, and what I like about this is he kept them unique. His interceptions were diversified. So let's start with the first.
Jake Michael.
Weewu moves over to the starting center spot, and Mateer had it picked off. It's deflected, tipped off, and it's coming back the other way. Perkins!
Interception number 1 from our boy Mateer. Just plain old bad luck. I see where he was going, and that's a fortuitous bounce for LSU. We knew it was going to be a defensive game, and boy was it. But in a surprise to maybe no one, LSU gives it right back.
Target at 6'7", number 14. Van Buren in the end zone, and it's picked off.
Michael Van Buren, you know, I see what he sees. It's still a bad decision and a bad throw.
Yeah, phenomenal before the safety gets there.
Up at the line of scrimmage quickly. Mateer picked off, coming back the other way. Halsey, and he's got a group of blockers in front of him. Knocked out.
Then John decides to switch it up and give us just a bad decision. Thrown into the middle of literally an LSU team meeting And this one, he did get what he deserved, although he makes a nice tackle at the end, and I think we should give him some credit for that.
To find the open receiver.
Sooners with trips to the bottom of your screen. Mateer looks the other way, one-on-one, and is picked off at the 7-yard line. The Tigers with their...
And to complete throwing for the interception cycle, John gives us a bad throw. Just wildly underthrown. Whenever the defender can catch your pass like a punt, you probably did something wrong. Now, of course, one of the highlights of every rivalry weekend is the Iron Bowl. And Ashton Daniels for Auburn actually put together a pretty good performance. He more than doubled Ty Simpson's passing yards, but he did have this interception.
Going downfield and came back to the ball.
Empty backfield. Daniels on the carry, and it's intercepted. Bray Hubbard for Alabama. A rare turnover for the Tigers. Just their...
Look, I'm no expert, but this receiver looks to be pretty open to me. I'm going to put this one firmly in the bad luck category, something that seemed to plague Auburn more than you'd expect in Jordan Hare on Saturday. And to wrap up this glorious rivalry week of interceptions, let's look at a few others that were just plain old bad luck.
They get a shot.
Gibbons,